Boys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing a bit of a different video. This is like ranking every single team's playoff hopes. So this is a little different from like a power ranking. There are a couple teams where you just don't know if they're really gonna make the playoffs, how far they're gonna go. So I figure that I should probably clear up my opinion on a lot of this drama. I should probably go over the tiers. So in the supposed S tier, we've got the playoff locks. In the A tier, we've got should be locks, just don't choke. This is like a tier for a couple of teams that like I know that they're really good, but like I don't know whether or not they're gonna close out the season super strong. So I just wanted to make a little exemption for those teams. As a tier below, we've got the wild card teams. In my opinion, tier below, we've got in the battle. Probably could make a wild card, but the playoff shots are up in the air. And then in the D tier, we've got probably not really contending. And then in the F tier, we've got just keep on tanking. The season will end soon enough. I mean, as a Pats fan, why can't the season just end? Sorry about that.
Nice.
We shall begin with the Arizona Cardinals. Just keep on taking. The season will end soon enough. You have your own pick. You have the Texans. Just go start scouting, man. Like, who do you think is gonna be your future wide receiver? Like, go start your analytical journey. Next up, we got the Falcons. In the battle, I mean, the NFC South is wide open as it has been for the last couple of years. So for the NFC South teams that aren't absolutely horrible. Yes, I'm looking at you, Carolina. You should really be able to, like, stay in the battle, but right now, the Bucs are the favorite to win that division. Baltimore Ravens, playoff locks. Lamar Jackson is way too good, and John Harbaugh is way too good, and Roquan Smith. They're just too talented and smart to really choke, and I think that the Ravens are as legitimate of a team as can be. Buffalo Bills. I'm a partial Bills fan. My mom grew up in Buffalo. So just know that when I'm talking about the Bills. As a power ranking team, I put them in like my A tier-ish. But like looking at their actual genuine playoff chances in the battle. Because when it comes to actual playoff chances, this is like odds and how good of a chance do you have of making it. They're going to need to beat the Cowboys. They've got, like, a tough schedule ahead of them. I don't know if I see it for them. Like, I think they'll get in somehow. But, yeah, they're just really got to battle. Carolina Panthers, yeah, well, they're not really tanking. They're probably trying to win some games. But, still, like, yeah, start scouting for that second round and third round. Who do you think is, like, gonna be a good left tackle? You gonna replace your left guard, get Brady Christensen out of there? Like maybe there's a really good guard available and you don't know about him yet. Go take your time, go scout, because this season is just not your time. So next up we got the Bears. A couple of weeks ago I probably would have said just keep on tanking. Now they're really a tier above that. I'm gonna put them in probably not really contending. Because, I mean, they're 5-8. They need to win 4 straight and get really lucky in the NFC in order to make the playoffs. So, I think probably not really contending. He's a pretty good tier for the Bears. Like, they're a step below every other team. They had a very bad start to this season, and I just don't see the playoff for them. Next up, we got the Bengals. This is going to be a third in the battle team. Jake Browning has looked very solid. I watched a bit of that game versus the Jaguars, and he looked poised, was completing a lot of his passes, and they're in the battle. I don't necessarily know if they're going to make it because a couple things. The AFC North is loaded. They're going to have to play a lot of those teams, and the AFC is loaded in general, and I just don't know if an undrafted rookie is really going to make that difference and push you over the edge in such a loaded conference. So I just don't know what I see for the Bengals. And next up we have the Cleveland Browns. I don't know where to put them. Because, like, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, they're probably, like, the top of in the battle. So, we'll put them there. DTR probably doesn't have a chance in like the long game. And Deshaun Watson didn't really either. Still wild to me. I was getting paid as much money as he is. But DTR, I mean, I love him. He had that great preseason game. I hope he does well. But I just don't see the vision for him. And, like, as we continue to move forward, he's continued to struggle. And they've even started Joe Flacco. And I think Joe Flacco, the next time he gets hit, all of his bones are going to crumble. And he's going to have to be transported to the nearest old people center. So, continuing to move forward. Joe Flacco's got, playoff experience. He might be a mentor, but he definitely isn't winning a championship out here in 2023. I think you guys know why. Next up, we got the Cowboys. I would put them in should be locks, just don't choke. They've got 10 wins. They're playoff locks. I don't see a scenario where they choke it. Dak Prescott is playing like an MVP. Guys, I have had a bit of a change of heart on Dak Prescott. I don't think he's an S-tier quarterback still, but I think he can sneak his way into an A-tier type of situation. He's playing like an MVP candidate, so I will begin to give Dak his flowers for all of you who are screaming at me too. Next up, we got the Denver Broncos. This is going to be our first of the wild card teams. They are one game behind the Chiefs in their division. People are beginning to look at that. The Broncos are on a huge win streak. Ever since giving up 70 to the Dolphins, they've really turned things around. Sean Payton has lifted that organization back out of the dirt. Russell Wilson is starting to look like the player that he was back in Seattle, the guy that they traded for. So, the Broncos are a tier above all the teams in the battle territory as far as playoff hopes. Are they better? I don't know, but I think that's where they belong. Next up, we got the Lions. They are part of the reason I've made these should be locks, just don't choke. Okay? The Lions are a very talented team. Jared Goff is a very good quarterback. I will stand by that until the day that I die. But they have not been playing well recently, and until I see that form that they were playing with at the start of the season and the end of last season, I just don't want them to choke, man. The Lions have been bad for so long. I just want them to win another playoff game. I just really hope they don't choke.
Is anybody surprised about what happened? No, man. Nope.
Next up, we got the Packers. They're on the bottom end of wildcard teams. I think they're in the playoff picture right now, but Jordan Love's begun to take a lot of steps forward as to when I made my quarterback rankings video. He's in D tier. Now I think he's like a top of C tier guy, and if he continues to improve, he might be their next franchise guy. And I said it. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers, learned a couple things from Aaron Rodgers. He's been making some good passes, good reads, putting up good stats, and that's really been the thing that's holding them back. Jaden Reed is taking steps forward, and the Packers are starting to find their strat in terms of playoff hopes. I think that they're mathematically even above the odds of every single other team there. Next up, we got the Houston Texans. They are one of the top teams in the battle because C.J. Stroud's played well, but they've been plagued by injuries. Nico Collins shredded his leg. Tank Dell snapped it. I don't know how far this team would go. I'm rooting for them. I have a C.J. Stroud jersey in my closet even, but I just don't know what I really think of them to close out the season. Can they close out the season as the team that they've been throughout this entire saga of CJ Stroud looking like the MVP? I don't know. And mathematically even, they're below the teams that are in the wild card spot. And I just don't see a scenario where they are really on the tier of the Denver Broncos or the Green Bay Packers up there. So next up, we got the Colts. They are going to be one of the lower tier teams in wild card team, as they're one of the lower tier teams of that wild card category. They're good, okay? I'm not gonna lie. Shane Steichens brought them out of the dirt. Gardner Minshew is Minshew mania. Let it roll. He's doing pretty well, but they're only really beating bad teams. I saw somebody point this out. They're not beating a lot of good teams, and whenever they play good teams, they just lose. like, I'm going to say mathematically locked because this is playoff hopes. The math matters a lot here. So mathematically, they should be in, but realistically, they're a first-round exit. And by the way, me ranking them in D tier a couple of episodes ago, like whenever I did my teams ranking, me ranking them in D tier was just stupid. I got a lot of hate for that. I am sorry. That was a big mistake. Next up, we got the Jaguars. They're going to be another team that says should be locks, just don't choke. Because the Jaguars are an incredible team, but they've got a lot of competition in the AFC South now. With the Colts and the Texans, who are looking to begin to improve as a team. And they might be able to dethrone the Jags if the Jags choke. So that playoff spot isn't looking as much of a lock anymore. But realistically, like, do we think the Jags are missing the playoffs with Trevor Lawrence? Absolutely not. So this, to me, is where they belong. Kansas City Chiefs. If their receivers don't drop the ball, they're a playoff lock. But the receivers do drop the ball a lot. So maybe I'd put them in should be. You know what? Actually, I will. I will put the Kansas City Chiefs in should be locks, just don't choke. They are right now 8-5. The Denver Broncos are 7-6. The Denver Broncos have beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a game. If the Denver Broncos win this week and the Kansas City Chiefs lose, the Denver Broncos will be leading the AFC West, and it will be tough for the Chiefs to climb back up. So, I will put them in should be locks, just don't choke. Realistically, I think they'll be locks. But if, like, Justin Ross drops a 40-yard bomb to win the game and Mahomes throws another 3-year-old tantrum, like, they're beginning to break down. And realistically, they should be in, but I'm just not so sure. So, next up, we got the Chargers. We're going to put them in probably really not contending. By the way, congratulations to them. They have fired Brandon Staley.
Is anybody surprised about what happened?
No. Broncos country, let's ride.
Which was the biggest issue in that locker room and on the field. He was their biggest issue. Giving up to 63 points to Aiden O'Connell is inexcusable. So I'm glad that they fired him, but they're probably not really contending anyway. They've got the injury plague as the Chargers always do. Like, I just don't see a scenario where they really make the playoffs here. Rams, most of the same. Sean McVay is dealing with an aging roster that's been getting worse recently. Matthew Stafford's getting older. Cooper Kupp is not as dominant as he used to be. Puka Nakua's taking steps forward, but that's like the one young piece that they have on this team. And when you have one young piece that's improving and everybody else is old and they're getting worse and you're a little bit screwed. Rams, not a good record. Their defense has been getting shredded. They're just probably not contending. The Raiders. This one's interesting. 63 points is a lot of points. I'll put them in the battle, but they'll probably be bottoming this tier out because they're like 5-8, I think. Maybe they're not, but they're somewhere around that range. And that would mean they would have to win 4 straight games, get very mathematically lucky, and they're still in the battle. Like, they're a decent team. Antonio Pierce is a very good head coach. If they fire him, I will be absolutely shocked. But as for the actual Raiders, like, again, with the math, there's not a very high chance of this happening. And next up, we got the Miami Dolphins. This is another reason why I made this should be locks, just don't choke tier. Because the Dolphins, they've got competition in the AFC East. Okay, in the Buffalo Bills, who will be right on their tail if they continue to play as dominantly as they did against the Chiefs. Like, the Bills aren't a bad team. So I think that the Dolphins are a good team, but they haven't beat a good team. Like, I just need to see more out of them when they're playing top-tier squads. And when they do, they'll be up here in this playoff locks tier. But right now, there is that possibility of them to choke away all this that they've built over there in South Beach. And until I see them beat a good team, I'm going to have them in this tier. Next up, we got the Vikings. Realistically, they're probably not contending, but again, I'm just going to have them bottoming out in the battle tier. I mean, you know what? Never mind. You're starting Jaren Hall, buddy. You're starting Jaren Hall. You can't expect results when you are starting a, 5th round rookie? Still with a little banged up Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison's promising, but you don't have a running game to support him. The defense is getting older. Danielle Hunter is very good, and so is Harrison Smith. But those are two of the very few pieces there that have been making a solid impact. By the way, Danielle Hunter's been incredible. Please give him his flowers. But realistically, I don't think the Vikings are contenders at all. Next up, we got the Patriots. My favorite team. Why can't it be April already? I want to see my team draft. Like, why can't I just see the draft? I want to see the draft. Can we just please end the season? Please, I can't keep doing this. Sorry about that. I'm very sad. Like, with all the Bill Belichick rumors, I feel like I might make a video clearing up my opinion on all the Pats drama, but they're not contending. They're mathematically eliminated. I just want a better draft pick at this point. Next up, we got the Saints. They're in the battle, I guess. Like, realistically, are they contending? Maybe not, but the NFC South is wide open. All of these teams have chances to make the playoffs because the NFC South is so bad. When you see a division that bad and teams that are just so mid, they always have potential. And the decision to stick with Derek Carr is still shocking to me. Dennis Allen is wild for that one, but they've got pieces on both sides of the ball. They're aging, but they're still good. Like, they're not really deteriorating like the Rams are, but whichever NFC South team that makes the playoffs is going to get absolutely blown out in the wild card round. So that's just my opinion, but realistically, they're still in the battle. Next up, we got the Giants. They're in the probably not really contending tier. Another team that has built their way out of like this F tier with Tommy DeVito, the Italian man. They're just continuing to improve, and realistically, they're probably not making the playoffs. But it's fun to see DeVito and Dabo compete, and if they knew they had this like solid quarterback in Tommy DeVito, that I do need to see more of, they never should have paid Daniel Jones $40 million. Next up, we got the Jets. They're in the same tier as the Giants, probably not really contending. They're near the bottom end of their division. Thanks, Patriots, for putting them third. But like, they're probably not contending. Their quarterback situation is a mess. They're probably not going to activate Aaron Rodgers. I don't see the Jets as like any sneaky playoff team. Oh, they're going to squeeze their way in. No, I just don't see the potential for this team. And next up, we got the Eagles. I'm not even going to put them in the don't choke tier. I'm going to put them in playoff locks. Whichever one of them out of the Cowboys and Eagles win the division, the other one's going to be the 5th seed and blow out any NFC South team in their way. So that's my opinion on it. Whichever one wins the division doesn't matter. It's just about home games. And both home stadiums are nuts, so it's probably going to be a big advantage. But yeah, I expect the Eagles to make the playoffs. And if they don't, I will be a sad man. So next up, we got the Steelers in the battle thanks to Mike Tomlin. I mean, gets incredibly lucky every year. They always win more games than they should. But, like, realistically, again, mathematically, they're going to probably make the playoffs. But I just don't really see the vision with them. By the way, if you're wondering why I have few wildcard teams and a lot of in-the-battle teams, the in-the-battle teams are competing to be up there in the tier of the wildcard teams. So, that's what I think about the situation. Next up, we got the Seahawks, also in the battle, but they have to get very lucky to get a playoff spot. So, I just want to continue to see their pieces evolve. I don't know if Gino's really going to close out the season well. Seahawks have not been playing well. They're like 0-4 in their last 4. I need to see improvement from them, but they're still in the battle. They're like 6-7. They could still finish 10-7 or whatever, but they got a tough schedule ahead of them. I just want to see how they finish, but they're still in the battle to me. Next up, we got the 49ers. Playoff locks. Brock Purdy's looking like an MVP candidate. No, he shouldn't win it. Anybody who has watched football should know this. CMC, the weekly touchdown man, who has been not scoring as much, but that's just left up to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk now, which is fine. You're still putting 6 on the board. Like, they have this merry-go-round where it's like, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. It's like Oprah Winfrey just handing out touchdowns, except it's Kyle Shanahan handing touchdowns to Brock Purdy, CMC, Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, like, and then a defensive player. And that team just has too much talent to, like, miss the playoffs, and they're playing so well. They're playoff locks. Next up, we got the Bucs. And before you say anything about how they are not on the tier of the 4 teams around them, especially a team like the Chiefs, I agree with you. But the NFC South is so bad that if the Buccaneers do not absolutely sell their way out of the playoffs this time, they should be in, okay? They should be that 4th seed that's going to get blown out by either the Eagles or the Cowboys. I'm not even going to lie. Like, there's no reason why they should miss the playoffs. They've beat the Falcons. The Saints are a little bit farther behind them. They should make the playoffs. And no, they're not on the same team, but, like, they're going to make the playoffs. And no, they're not on this tier of the teams that are around them. But realistically, they should probably make the playoffs. And again, this is about playoff odds to me, okay? Next up, we got the Titans. They're going to be another team in this probably not contending tier. And, I just don't really see the vision with Will Levis as, like, a playoff guy. They don't have great odds. They're not really in the battle. They don't have enough talent. They traded away Kevin Byard, which really, like, sold their season. I don't see the vision with the Titans at all. And, Derrick Henry's beginning to get worse and worse, but Will Levis is getting better and better. They might be good in the future thanks to Will's development, but I don't see the vision with the team right now. And finally, we got the Commanders, another team that belongs in this probably not really contending tier. Sam Howell is, like, leading the league in passing yards. Terry McLaurin's very good, but they're bottoming out the NFC West when the Giants are in it. Not NFC West. They're bottoming out the NFC East when the Giants are in their division, which is kind of rough. So, I don't know what the Commanders are going to do here, but, yeah, they're probably not making the playoffs, man. I'm not even going to lie. Like, they just don't have enough talent. They've traded away a lot of their guys, their set pieces that would have helped them. Emmanuel Forbes has been noted for getting torched by at least decent wide receivers. Jonathan Allen is probably mad that he didn't get traded, but Chase Young and Montez Sweat got out of there while they could. I don't see the vision with the Commanders at all. They're probably a season or 2 away. So if you guys will give me a second, I'll rearrange the tiers and then show you all the final tier list. Okay, so here we are at the final tier list, and in the playoff locks tier, I put the 49ers at number 1, because I think that they're, like, the most likely team to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Ravens at 2, Cowboys at 3, Eagles at 4. All 4 teams, in my opinion. It would have to be an absolute mathematical impossibility for them to miss the playoffs. So, then we've got the should-be locks, just don't choke tier. I put the Chiefs at the top, because it was tough to put them in here. But at the end of the day, they're 8-5 and are actually at risk of losing their playoff spot. I don't think they will, but, like, that's my opinion on all of the teams that are in this tier. Behind them, we've got the Lions, followed by the Dolphins, Jaguars, and bottoming out the tier, we've got the Bucs, because they've got the easiest path to losing their playoff spot. In the wild card teams, I put the Broncos on their highest because they've got the best odds out of all those teams. That's followed by the Packers, and bottoming out the tier, we've got the Colts. In the battle tier, I had a bit of a tough time ranking all these teams, but at the end I decided that the Bills would be at the top of the tier because if they do actually perform well, they'll probably make the playoffs. They have, like, the clearest path to making the playoffs. So behind them we've got the Texans, followed by the Bengals, Browns, Steelers, Falcons, Seahawks, Saints, and bottoming of the tier, we've got the Raiders, Below that, we've got the probably not really contending tier. Like, they might be a year away, or they might be just on the decline. In this tier, at the top, we've got the Vikings, followed by the Chargers, Giants, Rams, Jets, Commanders, Titans, and bottoming that tier, we've got the Chicago Bears. And then we've got the just keep on tanking, the season will end soon enough tier. These are teams that are, A, mathematically out of it, and B, should probably just be aiming for a higher draft pick. Except for you, Carolina. Keep on pushing, because you don't have anything to play for. So, at the top of the tier, we've got the Cardinals, then the New England Patriots, who remain as the second worst team in the league, in my opinion. And the worst team in the league, in my opinion, is the Carolina Panthers.
Nice.
I think that's consensus. But hopefully you guys did enjoy. I'm going to hop off and get this edited so you guys can watch it. I will see you all in the next video. Comment what you think I should change. And yeah, like I said, I'll see you in the next video. Comment any ideas you got. Just comment anything. I mean, it's all in the holiday spirit, so I'll probably reply to your comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.